How's it going, everyone? It's General Tariel, your coach of the Charlotte Carbinks, bringing you the APA Season 6, Week 2 team build versus Dan in the Addlestone Ampharos. Coming into Week 2, we had that sad loss against Cloud with the double para hex, but we're going to bounce back this week, and we're for sure going to win it, because I did the pick'ems along with the analyst for APA, and I made this game a lock-in win for me. So, just to show I have confidence in this match against Dan. Even though Dan is a very good battler, career against him I've only faced him twice. One I beat him 2-0, which was a solid battle. The second one I only beat him 1-0, and that's because he missed a Stone Edge. But coming into this battle, it's going to be more dangerous, because Dan has, in my opinion, the best roster in the entire league. Next best would be Panther, and then third would be Cloud. Dan's team is just very strong. Just some of the walls and stuff he has, and then the sweeping potential and the wall breakers, it's ridiculous. So, and with that team, he managed to beat Hugo, the Season 5 champion. There was a few crits that mattered in that battle for Week 1, but Dan deserved it, and he won that match 4-0, so that was a very solid game by him. So we're getting him on a high note, which is probably not what we want, but we'll take him on, because I want to face him at his best. Always want to get a nice W over a person who is quite the challenge like Dan. So for this team build, I'm not going to go through every individual Pokemon on their roster and explain what they're capable of, because that took way too long. That was half of the team build last week. So I'm just going to name his roster, then I'm going to go through what he's bringing, and then of course my team, and then that's it. So for his roster, he had his Totem Pokemon Kamala. Then he had probably my favorite Mega Venusaur, the monstrous Fairy type Clefable, the spinning Psychic Water Starmie, the bulky Dragon Gudra, the sweeping Bug Volcarona, Bug and Fire, the Steel and Fighting Cobalion, Dark and Flying Bulk and Mandibuzz, Ghost and Ice and Swiftness and Frostlass, Normal Flying Boomburst and Swallow, Absolute Wall Breaker and Big Spook, or Golurk, the Ghost and Ground type, had him in APA Season 5, and then Electivire, good electric type in Tier 5. Now, moving on to what I think he's going to bring, he has a lot of offensive threats against my very poor defensive core. When I was prepping for this week, it made me realize how much I really wish I had more of a defensive core than what I have, but we can make do. I just have to make more offensive choices in my battles. So first off, I had Golurk for him, because Golurk is an amazing offensive wall breaker that can take apart my team with his with 3 moves up there: Shadow Punch, Ice Punch, and Thunder Punch. That destroys my 3 main walls. Shadow Punch for Reuniclus absolutely one-shots it. If I'm defensive, it almost one-shots it anyways. Ice Punch for Chestnut, a fully defensive Chestnut can even take 2 of those Ice Punches from Adamant Choice Band with Iron Fist. And then Thunder Punch for the Milotic. This coverage with Iron Fist that boosts all those punch moves is ridiculous. This is why I loved Golurk in my Season 5. He is so strong and so underrated for Tier 5. And then Earthquake just for normal, very strong stab to hit the rest of my team. Golurk can easily take apart some of my team, but the only thing Golurk lacks is decent defenses, and his speed is also very low. He can run Adamant instead of Jolly, is what I expect him to bring, because Adamant does much more damage to my team. That kind of matters. It depends on some one-shots, kills after rocks, etc. And the speed, if he just goes max speed Adamant, max speed, it does pass no speed investment into my Milotic, which is one of my defensive cores. So if I were to bring Milotic, he would still be able to outspeed it unless I put some sort of speed investment into Milotic. He only outspeeds it by, I think, 19 points right now or something of the sort. But Golurk can just easily break apart my team if I don't have a correct answer for it, which I don't really do. So if Golurk comes in, it might just get a kill, or we have to play around it very carefully. Next up, I have Volcarona. Volcarona can easily sweep my team. Once again, it can break apart my defensive core easily. It's got the fire type coverage for Chestnut. It does get access to Giga Drain if it wants to take on Milotic, but I'll explain why I don't have Giga Drain up on here. And he has the, of course, Bug Buzz to take on the Reuniclus. Volcarona is very scary. I did have it only for a week in Season 5 because I wanted to try it. But once I tried to set up with it and I got walled by an Air Balloon Heatran when I tried to HP Ground, it just went downhill from there. So I got rid of it. But Volcarona is an amazing Pokemon still with that Quiver Dance. It doesn't even need to run Quiver Dance, even though that's the best set. Now for the moves, of course, Quiver Dance, and then I have only Flamethrower and Bug Buzz for offensive. Now he could bring Giga Drain, but that is not in his best bet. Because if I bring in, say, Milotic would be my answer for this thing, he can just keep setting up Quiver Dances, because the only thing I'm going to do with Milotic is probably either hit it with a Toxic or Scald it. So it'd be better for him to have Roost. That way that Bug Buzz will still probably one-shot Milotic after 2 or 3 Quiver Dances, and then at 3 Quiver Dances he literally sweeps my team unless I have a form of priority. Because even after 2 Quiver Dances he outspeeds Sand Excadrill and such. But, so if he does feel like, if he does understand this, then he will bring Roost over Giga Drain, because that will help him a lot more in the long run. And then Life Orb is just for that, like, more offensive damage, but he could run the standard Lumberry. That way, so if Milotic were to come in, I couldn't Toxic it. But if Volcarona has this Roost set, it can continuously set up on me, because my main answers to it are somewhat, especially offensive, such as Chandelure or Milotic. So, Volcarona is a very strong threat this game. Now I have another offensive Pokemon for him, and you gotta figure out where it's going with this. He doesn't really need too much defense among me, because his last 2 Pokemon that I'm gonna point out, Mandibuzz and Clefable, they are pretty good on bulk that can handle some of my wall breakers. So Starmie here, an Analytic Life Orb Starmie just destroys, once again, my defensive cores. Except for Reuniclus. Starmie can easily just carry that Recover so it can do the Life Orb damage, and then Analytic is because it will want to come in on Pokemon that I have to switch out in order to save them, and then the Analytic will do more damage to my walls, and then I won't be able to probably keep them in because of the coverage Starmie might have. It's got that Thunderbolt for Milotic, the Psychic for Chestnut, and then the Skull just for a round stab. Starmie can be a very good offensive Pokemon for him, but if he wants to, he can still bring a possible Rapid Spinner instead of having coverage type moves in offense, even though I see Defog being more effective for him than Rapid Spin, just in case I bring Chandelure, which can honestly do a decent amount to his team. And then next up I have Cobalion with Shuckaberry. I have Shuckaberry because my main answers to Cobalion is ground type moves like Earthquake in Excadrill, Earth Power in Kyurem Black, Earthquake on Mega Pinsir, etc. So the Shuckaberry makes it so he eats Earth type attack, and then he can easily just counter back, even though he already outspeeds all my offensive threats if before Scarf or before any form of speed boost. So if he doesn't kill me with close combat or something of the sort, then he'll easily get it later on. And he also has that opportunity to set up Stealth Rocks and eat it with a Shuckaberry, and then hit me with a close combat the following turn. I didn't realize how good Cobalion honestly is. Terraceon's only better because it's got much more bulk than Cobalion. But Cobalion's a good Volt Switch pivot also for him this game. That way he can go into something like Golurk to destroy something if I don't have an answer for it on the field, or Volcarona to set up, or Starmie for offense. So this is why I see a max speed, somewhat offensive Cobalion, and then that Shuckaberry just to take a hit. That way he can capitalize on that. And then I have Mandibuzz, which will be brought as a special defensive bulky Pokemon. Mandibuzz can take on my specially offensive Exploud to an extent. I believe Exploud Specs Boomburst still does 60% to it, but either way, it's still somewhat of a switch in, but Mandibuzz mainly takes on Chandelure very well, because he can easily roost up against Chandelure. And then I can hit it with a Foul Play or Knockoff, because Knockoff will do more damage considering Chandelure doesn't have that high of an attack stat. And Defog, because once again I saw I can see him predicting me bringing Chandelure because it does do decently well against his team. But, so that way you wouldn't be able to spin with Starmie, even though it is risky for me to bring a spin blocker that's weak to Starmie. I still see Defog as a better option for him this game rather than Rapid Spin, just because I can easily capitalize on a Rapid Spin more than a Defog in my opinion. Because Starmie is kind of frail, while Mandibuzz is not at all. And then I have Tailwind for him, just in case he wants to get even more offensive threat for that Starmie or Golurk or that Cobalion. And Tailwind can easily support his team very well and be a major threat for the amount of offense he has. And lastly, I have the Clefable. And then I do have one possible summon that I'm going to go to in after this. Clefable is just a very bulky Pokemon that can handle a lot of things. Even though its stats don't stand out, it is such a good Pokemon. Now, I do need to make a switch here. I do believe he's going to bring Unaware, and this is going to be Moonlight over Soft-Boiled, because you can't run Soft-Boiled Unaware. For him to bring an Unaware Clefable would be able to stop possible setup sweeping on my side of the field with either a Swords Dance Excadrill, even though Iron Head from a Sand Sweep Excadrill already bops this thing very hard. Possible Swords Dance Sweep from Mega Pinsir, or any other possible setup I could do with my team. It's just very helpful. He could bring a Magic Guard, but I see the Unaware doing much more for him this game. And just like with Cloud, I see him bringing Thunder Wave on his Clef. That way he can take on or have an answer to cripple my offensive threats. And then I have Flamethrower down for the Mega Pinsir and the Excadrill. And of course Moonblast for the stab to hit my Kyurem Black. For the EVs, I have a mixed bulk set in order to take on Kyurem Black at its best, both offensive and specially. It's very hard for Clef to do that, but this way you can take on 2 Ice Beams, and then you can easily eat 2 Fusion Bolts. So that's why I have the defensive split up like that. And for the possible summon, I have Goodra here, because an AV Goodra takes on Chandelure, it takes on Exploud, Boomburst with Specs. AV Goodra is actually pretty good, and it can also drop Dracos on my Kyurem Black and other Pokemon. So it honestly is a more possible answer than some of his offensive. So if he were to bring this, he would either drop that Volcarona or he would drop that Starmie, in my opinion, because of those other Pokemon just work pretty well against my team. But Goodra's coverage here is what matters so much against my team. He's got the Draco Meteor for the Kyurem Black, and then also just a hit for overall hard stab. Flamethrower to hit super effective on my Mega Pinsir, my Excadrill again, my Chestnut, Thunderbolt to hit the Milotic and the Mega Pinsir as well. Muddy Water to hit my Gigalith, the Chandelure. Goodra just has an amazing move pool, and it's honestly somewhat of a threat, but Kyurem Black Outrage still destroys this thing. Excadrill and Sand can easily set up and take care of this thing, etc, etc. But from a specially defensive side with this Assault Vest, it only takes max 40 from a Modest Specs Boomburst from Exploud, and then absolutely eats anything from a Chandelure. It's ridiculous. So that is highly possible. And even though Mega Venusaur is so good, I have so many counters on my team to Mega Venusaur. The Kyurem Black with the Terravolt ignores his thick fat, so Ice Beam can one-shot him, or a chance of a one-shot if he has no special defense investment. It will do around 75 if he is SPDF invested. So that is not what he wants to do. I have Mega Pinsir with the Aerialate that absolutely destroys. A return from Mega Pinsir one-shots Mega Venusaur, even with defense investment, is ridiculous. And then I even have Reuniclus with the Psychic coverage to take on Mega Venusaur with Magic Guard and Overcoat. Overcoat can make it so Sleep Powder doesn't even affect me. Magic Guard so his Toxic or Leech Seed wouldn't do anything to Reuniclus. And then I also have the what else do I have? I have Chandelure, even though I can't hit it with fire types that well because of his thick fat. I still wall any possible move he wants to go for a Chandelure, and I can go for Psychic if I don't want to hit him with Flamethrower, even though I believe Flamethrower is still better damage because of stab. But moving on to my team, knowing all this, it was pretty easy to build around. Volcarona was somewhat of a problem, but we made do. First off, of course, I have the man Kyurem Black. Once again, I'm just bringing Life Orb 3 attacks Roost, It's just the coverage on Kieran Black with the Life Orb is so strong, and then you just want that Roost to stay alive in case they got up rocks, and that Life Orb's bringing you down 9% since I have my EVs corrected instead of 10%, but still it's wearing me down, and that Roost would keep me up, and then I'm still capable of destroying his team. Outrage. Outrage actually destroys his team once Clefable is gone. 100%. Easy. As well as Cobalion. Cobalion's the only thing that can wall Kieran Black at this point. So if we take on Cobalion, Kieran Black can easily sweep with this moveset. We got Iron Head for the Clefable. That's mainly all it covers for, but is important to bring it because I don't need Fusion Bolt or anything of the sort for the rest of his team. The only other option would have been Earth Power to take on the Cobalion, because Ice Beam is... I just didn't want to take the risk of him being a especially defensive Clef. Then Ice Beam does under 50%, then it's a 3-hit KO, and then I'm forced to switch on Clef, and then it can either heal up or status, or he gets momentum switching. It's just not worth it. I need to bring Iron Head in order to hit Clefable. That way I can go for Ice Beam whenever I want, and then I can hit it up with an Iron Head the following turn, no matter what his investment. Because if he's defensive, Iron Head still does 75% to him. And then, of course, Roost for the health, Ice Beam for overall coverage on his team. And we are bringing the sand this week with my boys Addlestone and Gigalith. We got that Smooth Rock from maximum sand turns, and then we are bringing a Max Bedef set. I did not realize how strong Gigalith is now with the Sandstream. Max Bedef with the Sandstream making it so 1.5 times for our special defense is ridiculous. Sorry, I needed water. Gigalith can easily eat now on both the defensive and special defensive side. This ability in Generation 7 helped Gigalith so much. This thing is honestly almost worth a tier 3 instead of tier 4 in my opinion. But as far as I'm concerned, if I can get Sand, this thing's staying tier 4 because I want a good buy. But we got him with Stealth Rocks this week to take on his team. If he brings in that Volcarona, we gotta punish it. We gotta hurt Mandibuzz if he wants to go for that Defog. It's just gotta be important to work around with that. And also, if we have Stealth Rocks up, then we can easily tell if that Clefable is Magic Guard or whether it's unaware. If it's not unaware, we can set up on that thing with Mega Pinsir or Excadrill on our team. And his team is basically done for. We got Rock Slide in case I have to take on the Volcarona, and for overall stab for Rock-type moves, I just prefer Rock Slide over Stone Edge. One, it's got more PP, and as well it's more accurate, even though it does less damage. And third, we have Toxic because I want to spread status on his team. Once again, if he wants to bring in that Starmie against this thing, I feel like it will not be Natural Cure. I feel like it will be Analytic. Of course, we can tell with damage and such. But Toxic also helps against his Mandibuzz, his Clefable, if it's not Magic Guard. And then it's also good against his Golurk, even though a banded Golurk Earthquake does absolutely destroy Gigalith. Golurk is such a threat against us. And then I have that Earthquake to hit the Cobalion, because we can eat one close combat. I believe it does around 80% to us, which of course is not ideal in damage, but if I need to take the hit, or I just want it to go down, either way, Earthquake does around 55 to 60% to Cobalion, I believe. That's not including the Shucka, of course. The Shucka, he'll just be able to eat it. And moving on, we have, of course, the ideal companion with the Sand, Excadrill, holding that Life Orb. We got Swords Dance, Rapid Spin, Earthquake, Rock Slide. Now, even though he has a Clefable on that team, I am not worried about bringing Iron Head. Iron Head is only for Clefable. Nothing else on his team really benefits me from bringing Iron Head, besides a super effective hit on Frostlass, but Frostlass is so weak that Earthquake just does the job already. Adamant Earthquake does over 50% to Clefable. It does a min roll 55, I believe. So it's a 2-hit KO even after leftovers. So that's why I didn't need to bring Iron Head. And I have that Rapid Spin because, as you can see, I'm bringing the Mega Pinsir and I'm bringing Kieran Black. Mega Pinsir is 50% weak to rocks and Kieran Black is 25% weak. So I want to be able to get rid of those things, and that way I have my offense just about to destroy him. The Swords Dance makes it so I can set up and absolutely just sweep his team. Because once I get a Swords Dance up, that Rock Slide can take on the Mandibuzz. Mandibuzz, even if it's a special defense set with some defense, it eats hits. It eats hits, there's no doubt about that. But after a Swords Dance with this Adamant Exadrill with Life Orb, Rock Slide does around 75%, and then it's just done after that. Especially if we still have those Stealth Rocks up from Gigalith. Man Buzz is done after one Swords Dance. And then moving on to our second offensive threat, we have Mega Pinsir. I just went with the standard 252, and we had to go Jolly because of his speed threat and the Volcarona in case he doesn't get up a Quiver Dance. That way we don't have to risk a Quick Attack, because even though Quick Attack does get boosted by the Aerialate when Mega'd, and we do have a base 155 attack, Quick Attack still does not one-shot Volcarona. It is a, I believe a 78 to a 93 roll. No, 83 to 93 or something of the sort. Of course it dies after rocks, but the main thing if Volcarona tries to set up, we send out Gigalith, Sand takes it down, and then the Quick Attack will for sure take out the Volcarona, no matter what. And once again, Swords Dance can easily set up and sweep his team. Non-Swords Dance return against Clefable, max defense, we still, just like Exadrill, it's a 55 roll, so that return will two-shot Clefable, and we can easily sweep from that point on. Mandibuzz can't take this thing on very well like it can Exadrill. On the rolls, once we get a Swords Dance up, we destroy Mandibuzz. Once again, if he has a Mega Venusaur, it's done with just a return without a Swords Dance. And then I'm also bringing Moxie on Pinsir before it Mega Evolves, because once again, Season 6, our Megas have to hold the Mega Stone, but we can Mega Evolve whenever we want. It doesn't have to be first turn. So if I believe he's going to sack something, or if I know something can go down to Pinsir in its regular form, I can attack it and then get the +1 attack boost. That way I don't have to go for the Swords Dance later on, and then Mega Evolve and still get my speed, and then easily take on his team. And then we have that Earthquake for Cobalion, even though Return I'm pretty sure still does more than Earthquake, which is ridiculous. And especially if I don't want to risk him having Shuckleberry, but Earthquake was also just decent coverage against some other Pokemon on this team, even though we mainly just want to click Return against him. Earthquake's also for the Electivire on his team. And now we need to go to our other defensive options besides Gigalith. We have Chestnut. Once again, a more defensive set with some attack investment. This thing I had to bring defensively, and we still can't take on Golurk like I mentioned before. The Iron Fist, Choice Band, Adamant, Ice Punch. God, that's a mouthful. Still takes on Chestnut easily. And if he brings speed, then Chestnut just gets bopped by it. So basically Golurk's a sack for one of my team members. But otherwise Chestnut can take on his offensive threats such as Cobalion. And I have Seed Bomb in case we do come in on the Golurk. Not a switch in, but a we bring it out after a Pokemon faints or something of the sort. Seed Bomb can take on the Golurk. I have Drain Punch for the Cobalion. I have Rock Slide in case he brings in Volcarona thinking he can set up on Chestnut. Rock Slide will one-shot the Volcarona easily, and there's no more of that. And then lastly, Spiky Shield in case I just want that Golurk to take some damage. That way Return is for sure one hit. Earthquake from Exadrill is a for sure one hit, so on and so forth. Because Golurk just needs to die, like, as quick as possible. But Chestnut doesn't do amazing this week. I just needed another defensive answer just in case. And for the special defense bulk, we have our boy Jammin. Still going to bring that shiny form. I love that blue color. We bring a Regenerator, Assault Vest, one of the better sets besides Calm Mind Sweep with Magic Guard for Uniclus. We absolutely eat any special offensive move he wants to go for. Besides Volcarona, of course, if it sets up. The Starmie, we eat it. Whether it wants to go for Scald, Psychic, whatever. Even if it's got a super effective Signal Beam, it doesn't matter. Even if it gets an Analytic Boost, it doesn't matter. It's not going to do over 30% to us with this bulk and the Assault Vest. And then we switch right back out with the Regenerator. We can keep coming in on those things. And then I got all these attacking moves in order to take them on. Psyshock for Stab, Focus Blast to take on that Cobalion, Shadow Ball for that Starmie, Flash Cannon for that Clefable. None of his special attackers can take on Reuniclus. His Assault Vest Gudra does easily take on Reuniclus, but since Gudra did also hit hard against my team, the Assault Vest Reuniclus was just as more important to bring, and that's why I picked Psyshock over Psychic, so that we can hit Gudra on the defensive side. That way we don't hit the Assault Vest on his Gudra. I have just enough bulk to take on special attacks to where they're not going to do near half to me at all. And then I have special offensive investment, so I can easily put a hole in this team by eating a hit and then returning. Now, it's a shame I couldn't bring Magic Guard because I will have Sand up, and if he gets up rocks, I'm going to take that damage. I can get Toxic, but Regenerator is just best, so I can always come in with that Assault Vest. Because if I, the main other form for Reuniclus is getting health, of course, is Recover, but I can't run Assault Vest with Recover. So the Regenerator Assault Vest just worked very well against this team. And that concludes our team for Dan. I was very skeptical on bringing a Scarf Chandelure with Trick to get on the Mandibuzz, but once I realized an Assault Vest Gudra as a possibility, that thing absolutely walled my Chandelure. So that's when I switched it out with the Mega Pinsir, because I realized how much damage I can do to his team, and just in case he does bring the Mega Venusaur, that thing is going to be threatened so much by my team, it's ridiculous. But our team seems decently strong against Dan, but his squad is very strong. That Golurk, once again, I know he's going to bring it. There's no way he doesn't bring it. Honestly, Life Orb might be slightly scarier than Choice Band just because he can switch his moves around, but my Kyurem Black will outspeed him and I can bring that in every time. So if he does bring a Choice Band, it's going to get a kill if he predicts the right thing. That's why from here on out, not only Dan, because Dan is very strong at predictions, but here on out, since I don't have as strong as a defensive core as I was used to last year with Tangrowth and Blissey, God, that core was so thick. I need to definitely make my switches better, know what offensive play is better. I need to know my opponent, and I need to be ready. I'm going to be much more prepared for these fights, and hopefully there's no miscalcs like I did last week. I thought he brought a special defensive Necrozma, but Showdown, of course, did not have Prism Armor for the Necrozma on the calculator, so all he was HP special attack on that Necrozma with some speed. But, no, he was defense special attack. But either way, I'm going to be much more smarter about my plays. I'm going to make sure I do everything right, because last week I feel like I lacked in plays. I didn't realize how Milotic still had win advantage against the Togekiss. I sacked Excadrill when it took on the Togekiss instead of Exploud. I just wasn't playing too smart. I need to easily point out my win advantages, what I think he's going to go for. It's just a lot of hard predictions from this point on, and I'm definitely capable of making them, and I'm hoping for a nice W this week against Dan. And W's from here on out. So that'll be it from me. Of course, the battle will go up the following day. I'll see you guys then. Deuces.